Okay.
Okay. Sounds good. I am a writer of fantasy books in the town of St Albans in Hertfordshire. History first and then English. Fish and chips. Melon. Yeah, getting married was the big one for me. Not learning a foreign language yet. Yeah, but I never practice, so I have to start. That's a great question. Favourite film? Maybe Night of the Hunter by Charles Lawson. The Beatles. Robert Louis Stevenson. I don't know, there's so many things, it's almost impossible. Yeah, I would probably travel more when I was young. I think I would like to be an archaeologist. I try to write 5. Oh, lots of enlightenment for you and for me. It began just with a concept of a genie or a demon who was a slave to a young boy magician, and I wanted the magician to be the bad guy, the boy to be the bad guy, and the demon to be the hero. That was my concept, but quite soon I developed the idea of the story, and I planned all 3 books out in front of me, so I knew where I was going. I knew how the last book was going to finish, and that was good. Because even when I was having bad times, I knew where I was going. I knew that I thought that was the right finish. I wasn't quite sure. I thought maybe I wouldn't be able to do it, but when I got to the end, 3 years later, I got to the end of Ptolemy's Gate. I tried it, and I knew that it was the right. It was the right decision. Yeah. Well, right at the beginning, in the very early bits, in the first book, he's actually not a bad guy at all. He's very idealistic. He wants to do the right thing. He wants to be a good magician who helps people, but he is corrupted by people around him, and so he becomes a less pleasant person. So at the end, when he becomes Nathaniel again, he is John Mandrake for 2 books, but at the end he rediscovers himself. I think it feels right. I think because he had been quite bad for 2 books, he was not really a good guy, and it's correct that there's a moral consequence of his actions. Well, I think the books are quite messy in terms of good and bad. You know, most of the characters are. Well, some of the magicians are pretty bad, but most of the characters are a little bit of a mix. Like we are a mix of good and bad also, and so all the main characters have to constantly work out how they are going to respond. Are they going to do something that's destructive, or do they struggle to find a constructive way forward? And in the last book, which I think is quite an optimistic book, Bartimäus and Kitty and Nathaniel all throw off their usual ideas and decide to work together with their enemies, and that actually means they all sacrifice something, and in the end they win. So it's an important message, I think. to a point. I think it has to be done correctly. I think if you glamorize it, if you make it into something that too attractive, that will be bad. And also if you spend too much time wallowing in the unpleasantness of violence, then that's not good either. So you have to find a middle way where you do see the consequences of actions, and bad things happen and people get hurt. That's fine. I think children of that age can definitely cope with that. That's an interesting question. With my second novel, which was called The Leap in English, and it's Die Schattenland in German. When I first put that out in England, an American publisher wanted to take it, but they wanted me to rewrite the ending because the ending was too a bit negative and not very clear. They didn't like it, so I didn't publish it in America at that time because I didn't like the idea of changing it. But to be honest, with Bartimäus, all those books, my American publishers and my English publishers and my German publishers all pretty much want the same thing, and I don't have to change it. I change a few words for America, and I'm sure things change for Germany when it's translated, but it's all the same. And when I talk to children and audiences in different parts of the world, usually the questions and the responses are similar. So if I go to Japan and I talk to some Japanese children, they will have the same kind of questions that I get in Germany or in America. So it's a very international world, certainly for fantasy. Fantasy crosses boundaries very easily, I think. The Amulet of Samarkand was a deliberate response to the Harry Potter success, because I was thinking, well, everyone was saying you cannot. J.K. Rowling has written about wizards. No one else could ever write about wizards again without copying her. And I thought, no, there must be a way of talking about magic and magicians that is completely different. And so it was like a challenge. I thought, how can I make a story about magic which is nothing like Harry Potter? So my aim was, and that was when the first idea. I'll have a boy magician, but he's not the hero. And the magicians are the bad guys. So that was the very first idea, and the ideas developed from that. But J.K. Rowling's books have meant there's so much interest, and fantasy is doing very well because of that, because of her example. So I'm obviously very grateful to her for leading the way in that sense. Well, you're quite right. When I finished Ptolemy's Gate at the end of the trilogy, I was sure that was going to be the end of the story. We would see no more Bartimäus, because I was very proud of the way that the story of Nathaniel finishes at the end of Ptolemy's Gate. But later on, I began to think Bartimäus is a lovely character. He's very, very good fun to write. He's very popular, and also the fact is that he's had this long career going back thousands of years, and he has all these little footnotes where he's boasting about his great triumphs in the past. I thought it would be interesting to go back in time. So in a way, I'm having some fun, because the trilogy is still a trilogy, really, but we now have this other book which is a prequel, and I think it's been good fun to write. It's possible, maybe one day, but I don't know when that would be. I think it has to be. I have to think of a good story. This one took 5 years to appear, so I think I'll probably write something else now, and then maybe one day Bartimäus will come back. Typically, if I'm writing a book, I will probably get up, take my daughter to school, come back, sit down about 9 o'clock at my desk, which is upstairs. I've got a little study, and I will try and write, do an ordinary day work from 9 till 5. And I will try and write my 5 pages, and then that will be good. Then I can stop and I will go and see my children. Maybe go for a little run or something to keep fit, perhaps, or talk to my wife, perhaps. But it's quite, when I'm writing, I'm quite boring. I mean, I have to focus very intently just on the world inside my head. So I don't go very many places. I just stay at home. I will finish, when I finish the manuscript and I'm happy with it, I will give it to my editor. In fact, I have 2 main editors in America and in London, and they will both look at it at the same time. They will then give me comments, and I will go away and I will make changes, or I'll read it again myself and I'll make some changes. And when we're happy with that, then I will send it to Germany to my editors there, and they can start to translate it, and my translators will ask me questions. And it's quite a long process. So I think with this book I finished the first draft in April, and then between April and June, April, May, June, yeah, about two months. There's lots of editing and changing and working out the cover of the book. So it's quite a long process. It's called The Ring of Solomon. It's set in 950 BC, so 3,000 years before the stories in the Amulet of Samarkand. Excuse me. And Bartimäus is the servant of King Solomon, the great magician, and he always talks about this in the trilogy. Oh yes, I spoke with Solomon. Well, now we're going to see what he actually said to Solomon. Solomon is a great magician who has a magic ring with which he has great power. Bartimäus meets a young girl called Asmira, who is actually an assassin who's been sent to Jerusalem to kill King Solomon, and she gets Bartimäus under her control. So poor old Bartimäus is sent on a suicidal mission to kill King Solomon. That's what happens. Hi, I'm Jonathan Stroud, author of the Bartimäus books. This is my new book, The Ring of Solomon, published now, and I think you should go out and buy it. I hope you enjoy it.